Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we talk about more horror movies that are actually scary. And with that, let's get to the list.
There's something funny.
I mean, I just wish you could stay and see my performance. That's all.
The Blackcoat's Daughter is a 2015 supernatural horror movie. Written and directed by Osgood Perkins, it stars Emma Roberts, Kiernan Shipka, and Lauren Hawley. Two girls must battle a mysterious evil force when they get left behind at boarding school over the winter break.
You do know about the sisters, don't you? They worship the devil.
So as much of a fan of Longlegs as I was, I watched that movie a bunch of times. I think it's fantastic. I know it's not for everyone, but at least in my opinion, it's a really, really good horror movie. I still gotta lean towards this one as being Osgood Perkins' best film. Like, this movie, it just feels so unnerving from the very first frame to the end. And so much of it is mysterious and makes you feel on edge and just creeped out, even though things seem somewhat normal on the surface. You know there's something underlying and you just can't figure out exactly what's wrong with the big picture. But little by little, you get these pieces, and then by the end, it just hits you like a baseball bat when you realize what you've actually just watched. It's incredibly well performed by this cast. I've become a really big fan of Emma Roberts as well as Kiernan Shipka. Just all the different roles I see them in, they just continually impress me. And Kiernan Shipka's role in Longlegs was kind of the forgotten performance because there were so many interesting characters in that movie. But what she did, even though it's a small role, super impactful and just so creepy. But in this movie, she plays more of one of the leads, and she definitely gives it her all and is once again extremely impressive here. So I think if you're in the mood for something creepy and unnerving that just gets under your skin and sticks with you, this is a fantastic pick.
The empty man, 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 the empty man.
The Empty Man is a 2020 supernatural horror movie, written and directed by David Pryor in his directorial debut. It stars James Badgedale, Marin Ireland, and Stephen Root. On the trail of a missing girl, an ex-cop comes across a secretive group attempting to summon a terrifying supernatural entity.
On the first night, you hear him. And on the second night, you see him.
And on the third night?
Well, on the third night, he finds you.
This movie is so damn good. And I saw it luckily back in 2020 in theaters. Basically for just a very small window, the theaters opened back up. And this was really the only movie that was new that was brave enough to release in 2020. And so I got a chance to see it. Unfortunately, the rest of the world had no idea this movie existed really until Chris Stuckman talked about it on his channel and it hit HBO. But Chris Stuckman is 100% right on this movie. It's one of the best fresh new horror movies. And yeah, now it's 5 years old, so it's not exactly new, but as far as a style of horror, this is something that kind of has led us into the direction that we're in right now. Because with these up and coming filmmakers like Osgood Perkins, who I was just talking about in Blackcoat's Daughter, and in this movie, David Pryor, like these are two of the guys that are bringing us a lot of the fresh new horror that we're seeing in theaters right now. And there is some other fairly new filmmakers that I'm going to talk about later on this list, but it just makes me so excited to be a horror fan right now because we continually get these new filmmakers breathing fresh life into horror, and so it never gets stale, it never gets boring. Every year we get this new crop of horror movies that aren't all just IPs, but that are original and one of a kind and really find a new way to freak you out. But The Empty Man has it all. It'll surprise you over and over with all these different twists and turns that it takes. It has cult vibes, supernatural vibes, just all these creepy, haunting elements to it, from the mood, the atmosphere, the way things look, the different sets, and the way the performances come across on screen. This movie is absolutely brilliant. But I think it's another movie that'll absolutely get under your skin and stick with you. So if you have yet to see The Empty Man, do yourself a favor and make this the next thing that you watch.
Now I feel right as rain.
The Taking of Deborah Logan is a 2014 supernatural horror movie, directed by Adam Robitel in his directorial debut. It stars Jill Larson, Anne Ramsey, and Michelle Ng. An elderly woman battling Alzheimer's disease agrees to let a film crew document her condition, but they soon discover something more sinister is going on.
Oh, you really gave us all quite a fright with your late night gardening.
I think this movie is really the definition of a hidden gem because it's so well done, so well directed, shot, performed. I mean, just everything about this movie is really good, but because it's a fairly small production kind of movie and just was never really promoted, mostly it's gained a cult following from just people online like me talking about it. But I think it really is one of the scariest movies we've seen in the last 20 years, but it still, in my opinion, doesn't get enough love and deserves much more attention. This is a movie that lives in the dread, that lives in the atmosphere and the creepy quality of that. So much of what is just absolutely haunting in this movie are the visuals, the way things unfold, the different things you see, and a lot of it is the pacing, the way it sets up these different situations. I also really appreciate that it isn't just a simple jump scare movie. There's elements and things going on here, things that it has to say that just really get to you. Just dark, unnerving, and haunting elements. But I think if you're talking about some of the scariest movies out there, The Taking of Deborah Logan has to be in the conversation. The Harbinger is a 2022 horror movie. Directed by Andy Mitton, it stars Gabby Beans, Emily Davis, and Raymond Anthony Thomas. Plagued by horrific nightmares, a woman enters a hellish dreamscape to confront her greatest fears.
Then I get the bad feeling that he's there.
Who?
This is one that is definitely not going to be nearly as scary or creepy to a certain demographic of people. Some people just won't find this to be as haunting and uncomfortable and disturbing as I do. But I know there are some of you out there that'll get why this movie is so scary, and it'll definitely get to you like it did me. Because this is one of the only movies that was filmed around the pandemic and deals with and talks about issues and things to do with the pandemic that really works and lands and absolutely has something to say and is super haunting because of what it's talking about and how it deals with those subjects. On top of that, some of the visuals in this, the way it gets under your skin, the moody quality that it comes at you with, the way it's shot, and the performance, especially from Gabby Beans, are just absolutely haunting. It's also another one that is really, really criminally underrated. Like, nobody talks about it. It feels like I'm the only person that ever brings this movie up. And I have quite a few times because I really do think it's a hidden gem that not enough people have seen yet. Beyond that, without spoiling anything, the ending of this movie hit me so hard. And like I said, I think for the right audience, it'll hit you too. And it just absolutely devastated me and left me just moved, and it stuck with me for a very long time. Even now, thinking about the movie gives me chills. But when I've talked about this in the past, I've seen confusion on what movie to watch because I don't understand it. But two movies with the same name, The Harbinger, both came out in 2022, both horror movies, and so it's caused a ton of confusion. One of them is not very good in my opinion. It's very mid. whereas this one I think is just brilliant. So when you go to look for this movie, look for the one with the Harbinger mask, the really dark imagery looking Harbinger mask. You'll know which one immediately it is. So I think if you're the right audience, this is a definite must-see.
Lake Mungo.
Lake Mungo is a 2008 Australian supernatural horror movie. Written and directed by Joel Anderson. It stars Talia Zucker, Martin Sharp, and Rosie Traynor. Strange things start happening to a family after their daughter is found drowned in a lake.
It hasn't reached me yet, but it's on its way. I feel like I can't do anything.
For such a simple setup and premise of a movie, this one gets so disturbing, really haunts you, gets under your skin. It's so moody and creepy, and I think a lot of it is the way it's put together, because it's very much put together like a documentary. So it's this faux documentary thing, but it's expertly put together so it feels really real. And I know that style doesn't always work for everyone, but I think if you're a fan of found footage movies and you enjoy the mockumentary style of movie, this is one of the best done, because the way they slowly lead you down into this rabbit hole and creepy, unnerving things start happening more and more. The way it's set up, the timing, and just the simple visuals that they use here are absolutely haunting. And I know I'm not the only one to think this is one of the scariest movies out there, because it has had its viral moment. And so I'm sure probably a lot of you have already seen this. But I think if you enjoy this style of movie and you've never seen Lake Mungo, this is one you definitely should add to your list.
We can bring her back.
Bring Her Back is a 2025 Australian horror movie. Co-written and directed by Danny and Michael Philippou. It stars Sally Hawkins, Misha Hayward, and Jonah Wren Phillips. A brother and sister uncover a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother.
Oliver lost his family just like you guys. Needed someone that could give him special care.
This is one that just hit theaters. At the time I'm recording this, it actually comes out today. And so late last night when it was first released, I started hearing different opinions for the first time on what people thought of this. I did a review back when I saw it, which is almost 2 weeks ago. And I just am so impressed with this movie. For one, if you're not aware, this is made by Danny and Michael Philippou, the same guys that made Talk to Me. And I think this movie is even better because it does a lot of the same things that Talk to Me did, dealing with dread, dealing with grief, loss, very bleak, dark, profound kind of film. They go even harder at that in this. And some of that has to do with Talk to Me having that partier, teen atmosphere and vibe about it. And so that gives it a little bit of a lighthearted quality. Whereas this one has zero. There is no lightheartedness to this movie. It's just bleak and dark and super creepy and absolutely gets under your skin. Now, is this scary? I don't know, man. Scary is so subjective. But I can tell you this, it absolutely creeped me out. And there is some visuals, some scenes, some things in this that will forever be printed on my brain. But I'm also someone who I don't know if I can get scared anymore, at least by a movie. I haven't seen one that even came close to actually scaring me in a long time. Last year, there was a couple that kind of got me startled, but that was about it. But as far as something that is creepy and disturbing, this movie definitely got to me on that level. It's just so impressive the way Danny and Michael Philippou put movies together. The way they look, just the atmosphere, the way they're shot. It's really brilliant. And like I was talking about earlier with these up and coming filmmakers, I'm as excited about these two as I am anybody out there because they're making these original movies. They're not just making sequels and IPs and all of that. They're not just looking for a paycheck. Instead, they're wanting to make their movies, make their mark on the film industry. And At least for me, they're absolutely 2 for 2 because like I said, I like this movie even more. So if you're watching this when this video first comes out, it's in theaters, definitely run out there and see it. But if you're seeing this down the road and it's streaming somewhere or whatever, either way, I think this is an absolute must-see for any fan of horror. It is a slow burn. It isn't a movie that is fun. It's a movie that isn't going to be for everyone. But for the right audience, this movie is absolutely a can't miss.
Se termina rápido.
When Evil Lurks is a 2023 Argentine horror movie, written and directed by Demian Rugna. It stars Ezekiel Rodriguez, Louis Zambrowski, and Emilio Vadovic. In a remote village, 2 brothers find a demon-infected man about to give birth to evil itself. So they decide to get rid of the man, but merely succeed in helping him to deliver the inferno. It's crazy because not only is this a list of what I think are actually scary movies, it's also some of my favorite movies, period, especially from the last 10, 15, 20 years. Like, these are really the cream of the crop for what I think are the best horror movies out there. And this one in particular was my best movie of the year in 2023. Like, there was nothing else I feel that was really even close as far as horror. This movie is so absolutely brilliantly done, but as terrifying, horrifying, awful, uncomfortable. I mean, every kind of word you can come up with basically to describe a horror movie, this movie's got it in it. There are just these moments that shock you, that take you completely by surprise, and are as devastating and brutal and gruesome as you can think of. Also, the thing that I just absolutely love about this movie is the world building that's done here. Demian Rugna has created his own universe. This world, and from what I know, his other movie, Terrified, they live in the same space and they run by the same rules and laws and type of supernatural, weird, demonic, just spiritual type of weirdness that I just am so impressed and in love with. I cannot wait to see what Demian Rugna does next, because the stuff he's doing is so original. But if you're talking about haunting scenes, stuff that just absolutely destroys you, this movie's got it. There's a few scenes in this that just left my jaw on the floor. So I think for any fan of horror movies out there, When Evil Lurks is an absolute must.
You're safe now.
Safe from what?
The Night House is a 2021 psychological horror movie. Directed by David Bruckner, it stars Rebecca Hall, Sarah Goldberg, and Evan Jonike. The story's about a widow who uncovers her recently deceased husband's disturbing secrets.
You were right. There is nothing. Nothing is after you. You're safe now.
This is another one of my favorites from the last few years. It was my #1 pick for 2021. I just love this movie, and a lot of that is the performance from Rebecca Hall. She is just so incredible in any of the movies I've seen with her. Just the kind of level of intensity that she puts into her performances, especially when she's allowed and she's given a script where she can really lean in and feel those emotions and all of the things. She just puts that all out on screen so well. But it's also the directing style, the way David Bruckner does movies, because the atmosphere, the way this movie looks and feels, and the way he shows evil, the way that is visualized in this movie is as creepy and haunting and unique as anything I've seen. Because for such a little movie, there's so many layers in it, so many different things and subtext that it's talking about here. And this isn't going to be scary necessarily to most people. Like, if you're scared by movies like Insidious, The Conjuring, stuff like that, more of the mainstream horror movies, this will probably not get you because it's not jump scares. It's not that type of movie. It's this slowly moving, dread-filled, just devastating movie that just engulfs you and makes you feel all these emotions. But I think it's more of an adult horror movie. It's one that deals with things like loss and the way we feel as we move through life as adults when things are constantly changing around us and we're mourning the loss and our lives just feel completely destroyed at times. When you're an adult, those are a lot of things you go through, but not every audience is going to be able to identify with that or resonate with that. And if you don't, that's fine. I'm just trying to let you know the type of movie that this is. But if you are a fan of art house, indie, slow burn horror, The Night House is an absolutely brilliant pick. Yellow Brick Road is a 2010 horror movie, directed by Jesse Holland and Andy Minton. It stars Cassidy Freeman, Anessa Ramsey, and Laura Hessler. It's about an expedition to discover the fate of an entire town that disappeared into the woods 70 years prior.
We have been blessed with the opportunity to take a legend and turn it into recorded history. Today's all about packing up and shipping out. We'd like to make as much ground as we can before dark.
This movie is like the definition of that micro-budget indie movie where they're using their own clothes, so to speak, for wardrobe. I mean, this really is that tiny kind of movie. But it's as creepy and haunting and disturbing as any of these little movies can possibly be. And I don't know if this is going to necessarily translate for everyone, but I know the people I've recommended this to before have been absolutely haunted by this movie. And a lot of it is because it is such a little budget, little type of project, because it feels so authentic. It feels so real. Everybody in this movie feels like real friends, and the dialogue and the way they react to each other, I mean, it feels like it's real. So then when disturbing things start to happen, it just really pulls you in and makes you feel like you're impacted by the stuff that's going on. Another thing, because it is so small, the ingenuity and the creativity on the creepy things that happen here feel different, and they get under your skin and haunt you because of that. I just think as far as a small production horror movie like this one's as haunting and creepy as it gets.
Fucking hell, we don't know where we are!
The Ritual is a 2017 British horror movie, directed by David Bruckner. It stars Rafe Spall, Arsher Ali, and Robert James Collier. The story follows four friends who take a hiking trip into a Swedish forest and uncover a mysterious ancient evil. I know a lot of you have probably already seen this because it's one of Netflix original. It's one of the best ones they've ever put out. But I also know, like most horror movies, there's always people discovering horror that haven't seen as many as a lot of us. And so hopefully there are some out there that have yet to see this movie, because it is truly a horror gem. One of my favorites from the last 10 years or so. And once again, I didn't even think about this when I was putting this list together, but this is another film directed by David Bruckner, the same guy who directed The Night House. And you can see it in this movie. It's got a lot of that same atmosphere, that same dark, creepy edge that he does so well. Even in shorts that he's directed for VHS and things like that, you just see his style. It's very recognizable. He's got a very unique signature style to the way that he does movies. But just the way these characters are fleshed out, the way they're written, the dialogue, it feels so real. And they just feel like friends I have. Like, it's easy to just get into this world and connect with all the different characters that are in this. But then as the movie starts to get creepy and it kind of ramps things up, the way he makes the forest so vast and haunting and devastating and overwhelming, and you can just get this sense of pressure that is surrounding these characters, and it just becomes so terrifying, especially when things pick up and they get even more creepy and weird, uncomfortable things start to happen. And then there's one scene in this, I will not spoil it, But if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. There is one of the most terrifying, creepy, uncomfortable looking creature type of visual things that I have seen, period, and especially in a long time. Like the way it's captured in this, it's so haunting. But then besides all that, this is also an extremely well written, well put together movie and story, because there is a lot of underlying levels here and a lot of things that it's talking about, and other emotional and uncomfortable things that's going on with the story here, with the different characters and things that have happened and things they're dealing with that really hit on a lot of different subject matter. But I just think The Ritual is an incredibly well put together movie that's a definite must see for any fan of horror, and especially if you're looking for something creepy, atmospheric, and haunting. So that's my list, but I would love to hear down in the comments, what are movies you think are scary, and what are ones that you think I should include in my next list like this? But like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button, and remember guys, horror can be fun, and I'll see you guys next time.